Welcome, you are watching Head to Head with UATV. I'm Antonina Antosha. Ukraine has officially received the status of an aspirant country from the North Atlantic Treaty Organization and an opportunity of a full membership in the future. What obligations does Ukraine have with the new status, and will Ukraine, as an aspirant state, receive any additional security warranties? To discuss this and the current international agenda, we're joined in the studio today by Oleksiy Kaftan. He's a journalist and international observer. So hello, Oleksiy, and thank you for coming.
Hello. Thanks.
Would you please clarify for me and our audience, what does the status of an aspirant country mean?
Well, actually, the status means that we are an aspiring country, so we want to enter, to join the alliance. That's all. And the alliance grants us being an aspirant country. That's
so basically, we do qualify for entering the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, right? But since we're still an aspirant country, that means that we still need to fulfill certain qualifications. What are those?
For one, being an aspirant country is not the judicial category. It's not a judicial status. It's just being an aspirant. You know, it's it doesn't imply we have the NATO perspective.
What does it imply then?
It implies that the alliance itself sees our wish to join. Nothing but it. On the other hand, only the aspirant countries may have an MAP, the Membership Action Plan. So, from this perspective, we do have some chances to join the alliance if we fulfill some agenda. We do work on compatibility with the NATO states' armies. We do have our command structure reformed, and we are to continue with it. We are to fulfill the NATO standards.
And then we can become a full-time member?
And then we can try to apply, let's say.
So we still need to apply, and then if the application is approved,
yes,
probably with some adjustments, I assume, we can become a full-time member of NATO.
If the NATO says yes.
Okay.
And this is the question, because there is a consensus formula of the general agreement formula of making decisions within the alliance. So if some countries say no, that means no. Well, we have already had this situation in 2008 during the Bucharest summit, when we were hopeful to get the MAP, but we didn't have any. We didn't get it because of the positions of Germany and France.
Do we have a chance now? Do we have a better chance now, I would say?
I'd say it depends on how Russia behaves and on how the European countries, again, Germany and France maybe, see the perspectives of the Russian menace to Europe.
Right now, Ukraine is being an aspirant country to NATO. I presume there are no guarantees, security guarantees, we have as a country who is an aspirant. But still, this is a sign for the rest of the world that NATO is looking at Ukraine as a potential future member. What does this sign mean for Russia?
Nothing.
Absolutely?
Absolutely nothing, because since the NATO says, okay, we see Ukraine wants to join, how does it change the Russian position?
Because when we do join, then NATO will be obligated to...
When and if, I'm sorry.
Yeah, when and if.
So these are 2 points, and we don't have answers on either.
Mm-hmm.
So if and when, the Russians do have some time to do whatever they want.
Mm-hmm. It's not right to give Russia a chance to do whatever it wants, because clearly we have a war in our country. And might I just add, Russia is not a threat only to Ukraine. It creates a potential threat to the whole Europe and other countries. Look at Syria, for example.
Okay, look at France.
Okay.
Is Russia threatening France? No.
Potentially.
How?
Because France is a part of Europe.
And?
Well, because if Russia is trying to destabilize the situation in Europe, France is going to be dragged into it.
Okay, but France is quite distant. France does not have any issues with Russia. It hasn't had no conflicts with Russia since, I guess, Napoleonic Wars.
Okay, so correct me if I'm wrong. What you are saying is that Russia imposes a threat only on Ukraine or Syria right now, and was imposing a threat on Georgia before.
Eastern Europe, and the whole zone of influence of Russia's. Well, Russia considers it to be its own zone of influence and interests. So the matter is whether the Western Europe understands that threatening the Eastern Europe is threatening the West.
Of course.
Right now, there are many businesses and business people and politicians saying, well, come on, we do have interest in Russia. We do have the ability of making business with Russia. So why not just give Ukraine, give up Caucasus and so on? We are not interested in those zones.
So the whole country should just live up to the interests of a group of businessmen?
Look at the debate around the Nord Stream 2. There is a pro-Russian lobby.
Of course.
And there is an anti-Russian lobby, or even the coalition of countries, I'd say. And the matter is that Europe is not doesn't have the only position, the only point of view. Though politically they are united, maybe.
Okay, that's a very interesting explanation. Coming back to Ukraine, what do you think the scenario is going to be like with Crimea? Let's say within the next 5-10 years, if it's possible.
If it's plausible.
Yeah. If it's possible to predict or to have any, I don't know, any guesses on that matter.
Well, I don't think that, to my regret, that the question of Crimea will be solved within the perspective of 5 or even 10 years. So I think that the Crimean question will be put behind the brackets, I'd say.
On hold.
On hold. It will be put on hold. Still, the West won't forget about it.
Okay, how high are the chances that Ukraine will get Crimea back? After all, Crimea is Ukraine.
Unless Russia does not change its international policy paradigm, unless the Russians do not see their interest in controlling the neighboring countries, nothing will change.
Is it possible that this, meaning the Russia's interests, the Russia's desire to control the neighboring countries, could it be gone when the president changes?
No, I don't think so, because the president is not the Tsar. And,
I don't think Russia's president is aware of that.
And even if he was the only ruler in Russia, he's not the only one to make decisions. There is, let's say, a council or a politburo making collective decisions or advising the president. So if all of them think that what is done and it was needed to be done. So I don't think, and the people, the Russian people, most of them, I guess, most of the Russian population says, well, we've got the Crimea and it's right. How do you change it?
You change it by the fact that Ukrainian people who don't have Crimea now say, no, it's not right.
Okay, but you cannot just change the Russians and their nature and the hundreds of years of policy building and those words like might and
empire. I agree with you, but those people living in small villages, I'm sorry, having no cattle, having no food, having no money, and they still consider themselves the citizens of an empire. That's not patriotism, you know.
The fridge in Russia still does not win over the the television.
Okay, you know what? Thank you so much for coming. This has been a very interesting conversation.
Thank you.
That was Oleksiy Kaftan. He's an international observer. Thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned with UATV.